and welcome to Conscious Curiosities, where we unlock the wisdom of the universe which lies within us. I'm Maria Luz, your host, an astrologer, psychic medium, and certified hypnotist. Today's episode is part of the series on medical astrology, and it's entitled Saturn, the Real Emperor of All Maladies. I'm going to begin with a quote. This is the English nursery rhyme. Jack will eat not fat, and Jill doth love no lean. Yet betwixt them both they lick the dishes clean. Saturn gets a bad rap for the downer that can result from a Saturn return, and that's when transiting Saturn returns to the place it was in the sky at the time of your birth. So think back to around the time you were 28 or 29, and then again around age 56 or 57 or 58. And were you forced to confront irresponsible decisions or a lack of planning? That Saturn rap sheet will grow today, this time with crimes not only against your freewheeling or youthful attitude, but anywhere your health may have gotten away from you. So I started with that Jack Sprat nursery rhyme because it felt like Saturn, just not eating any fat and just being lean. It also has a history about it with Jack Sprat was a term that you called small men. And Saturn, you'll see when I start talking about it, has some of those attributes. Medical astrology expert Judith Hill says that Saturn holds the dubious honor of being where ill health begins. So that's where I got the title of this installment, about being the emperor of all maladies. Mars and the South Node are contenders, but never ever overlook Saturn's placement in the birth chart, warns Hill. And why might this be? Well, Saturn is associated with things that are cold and dark. And just intuitively, this doesn't sound conducive to optimal health. And indeed, it's not. Saturn rules things like the bones and skeletal structure in general, the teeth, along with Taurus, the skin with Venus, nails, cuticles, calcium, and minerals in general. The ear, it's said that Saturn rules the right ear and Mars the left ear, although general rulership of ears goes to Taurus and hearing to Mercury. And according to researcher Cornell, Saturn rules the peripheral sympathetic nerves. Now, some of the physical effects are along the lines of Jack Sprat. So it constricts, it can limit or stunt growth. It is dry, limits circulation, constricts, it's cold, it slows, it can undernourish. That's that lean part again. It can pave the way for toxic buildup and stiffness. It can also indicate structural anomalies under just an underfunctioning or an undersize of any body part. And before moving on, now may be a good time for my disclaimer. I'm not a medical professional, and this isn't meant to be taken as medical, including psychological guidance. Rather, it is meant for educational purposes or entertainment purposes. Should you have any concerns about your body, mind, or spirit, please consult with your health and well-being care team. Back to the program. Important special conditions of Saturn. Hill calls out that those who were born at night, so when the sun is underneath the horizon, while Saturn is also under the horizon and is also in a feminine or a yin sign, then your Saturn is extremely cold. And even if just one of those three conditions exists, your Saturn may be colder than most. On the flip side, if you were born during the day with the sun above the horizon, while Saturn was also above the horizon in a masculine or a yang sign, then Saturn is in a favorable condition, which is termed haze. And this makes it much less likely that you will suffer from conditions of cold, obstruction of vital force, or sluggishness, or some of the other things that we will discuss. Assessing Saturn's placement in your birth chart. So, some of the basics from the traditional associations of Saturn are that Saturn rules Capricorn and Aquarius, meaning the natural qualities of those signs suit Saturn's aims. Saturn is exalted in the sign of Libra, meaning it operates with its characteristic strengths. Saturn is in detriment in the signs of Cancer and Leo, meaning its natural qualities are altered. Saturn is in its fall in Aries, and again, its natural qualities are altered. As with the sun and moon, Saturn's placement in your chart has significance. You may wish to review the body areas ruled by the sign where Saturn is placed in your chart. And that would be the second episode in this series on medical astrology. And yeah, and so again, if you don't have your birth chart yet, you can download any app. There's CoStar, there's Time Passages, there's Chani, there's online AstroSeek is one that I really like to get your birth chart, and then you'll be able to see which sign your Saturn is in your natal chart. And then the position on the wheel is also important, not just the sign, because Saturn's ray cools the sign opposite. So that would be 180 degrees. So across the wheel or circle of the birth chart. And sometimes it cools those that are in a square aspect, so 90 degrees from it. And its most potent effect is on the sign in the backward square. So that would actually be if you are going clockwise, 90 degrees from Saturn's sign. As always, the entire chart matters. And if there are certain planets in those positions, those 90s or 180s, it may have a sort of reflex reaction. And in these instances, Saturn's action may bounce over to that reflexing sign or planet sitting there in that reflexing sign. And this is most likely to occur when the other planet in that reflexing area is the sun or the moon, or the ruling planet of the ascendant, the sixth house, the eighth house, or the 12th houses. Those houses, again, I may have mentioned it earlier in the series, but those are the very pertinent houses to medical things. And then by reflex, this just means that Saturn will manifest through the problems of the other sign rather than the sign that it's sitting in. Therefore, due to the complexity, please do not assume Saturn's impacts on your chart or your body or your person based on this one episode or this one series. And what I'm going to do is, again, I'm just going to go verbatim from Hill's book, Medical Astrology, A Guide to Planetary Pathology. I provide this in order to really whet your appetite for more information because each of her books is just extremely well researched, written in an entertaining way, and she even illustrates them herself. So I recommend that you purchase that one or any of the others to add to your home collection. So again, you may end up feeling like this is kind of a yoga nidra experience where I'm reading exactly from her book, and it's somewhat hypnotic. But I think you'll get the gist of what can happen when Saturn's in any of these signs, and you can always rewind later on and go back to your sign. Okay, Saturn's pathological actions in the 12 signs. Note, and all of this again is verbatim from her book. Note, natal Saturn in any of the signs does not ensure you will have the conditions given below. Should your Saturn be afflicted by aspect, indeterminate, or fall, sorry, retrograde, or in association with the first, sixth, eighth, or 12th houses, or their planetary rulers, then possibly he may exhibit one or more of the listed complaints. He may do so anyway, being Saturn, but this is not guaranteed. He is better placed in the sixth and eighth than any of the other planets, and if well aspected and dignified, may surprise you by producing good health when in evil houses. Saturn in Aries restricts blood vessels of brain, headaches, toothache, eyesight issues, motor nerve anomalies, stroke, hardening of arteries in the brain. Reflexes to Libra, Cancer, Capricorn. Saturn in Taurus restricts the ear, nose, throat region. Toxic tonsils, chronic colds and sore throat, poor hearing, hypothyroid, tight neck muscles, atlas bone out of place, structural restrictions of cervical vertebrae, TMJ, dental issues. Reflexes to Scorpio, Leo, Aquarius. Saturn in Gemini, stuttering, restriction to lung, arm, or hand. Asthma, the cold variety, pulmonary consumption, bronchitis, arthritic arms, shoulders, hands, frozen shoulder, cystic fibrosis, emphysema, pneumonia. Reflexes to Sagittarius, Pisces, Virgo. Saturn in Cancer restricts the breasts, rib cage, stomach, womb, sensitive skin, weak tooth enamel, osteoporosis, fear, insufficient milk, small breasts, low hydrochloric acid, poor appetite, small chest, infertility, poor gums, drowning, falling, weak lungs, pneumonia, phobia. Reflexes to Capricorn, Libra, Aries. Saturn in Leo restricts the heart muscle and stiffens the back. Heart attack, spinal anomaly, spinal cord disease, sclerosis of spinal cord, scoliosis, blood pressure extremes. Gives great strength in houses 1, 2, 3. Reflexes to Aquarius, Taurus, Scorpio. Saturn in Virgo. Hernia, toxic liver, cirrhosis of liver, diabetes, constipation, dry membrane of bowel, appendicitis, especially near 16 to 19 degrees Virgo, Scorpio, or near 23 degrees Gemini. Premature gray hair due to malabsorption of nutrients, tension, insomnia, hernia. Reflexes to Pisces, Gemini, Sagittarius. Saturn in Libra, mineral deposits in small tubules of kidney, gravel, retention of urine, hormonal activity, tension in lower back, Bright's disease. Reflexes to Aries, Capricorn, and Cancer. Saturn in Scorpio, sterility, impotence, sexual issues, venereal diseases, parasites, Crohn's disease, plug sweat glands, sudoriferous glands, hemorrhoids, hernia, constipation, sluggish or toxic colon, amenorrhea, poisoning, gout, fractured pelvis, insufficient peristalsis, prostate cancer or obstruction. Reflexes to Taurus. Look for gravel, voice, or throat ailments as a clue to a toxic colon. Leo, Aquarius. Saturn in Sagittarius. Spinal misalignment, spinal cord diseases, arthritis of hips, hip and thigh problems, pressure on sciatic nerve, fractured pelvis. Reflexes to Gemini, Virgo, Pisces. Saturn in Capricorn. Skin issues, warts, dryness, cancer sensitivity, liver spots, skin disease, infertility, rheumatic knees, toxic liver, plugged gall ducts, insufficient bile, brittle nails, cuticle, teeth and gum issues, knee injuries, ashy skin, and pigmentation anomalies. Falling. Reflexes to Cancer, Libra, Aries. Saturn in Aquarius. Broken ankle, obstructed circulation, low blood pressure, cold extremities, insufficient oxygenation of the blood, asthenia, pernicious anemia, hypothermia. Back issues, weak heart, opposes Leo. Reflexes to Leo, Taurus, Scorpio. Saturn in Pisces. Bad feet, corns, bunions, weak immunity, long weakness, reflex from Gemini, wasting, apathy, depression, poor attention to health and diet, weak teeth, rickets, toxic or sluggish lymphatics, cold feet, calluses, corns. Reflexes to Virgo, Gemini, Sagittarius. In summary, Saturn is cold, slow, dry, and astringent. Traditionally, Saturn's maladies are treated with warming and or moistening agents, depending on the specific symptoms. I could see treatments which are diffusive or relaxing in nature, helping to enable movement where things have atrophied or slowed. Sorry, that last from the in summary. That's back to my my own writing. So I don't wish to leave you thinking that Saturn has no redeeming qualities. So from Hill's Medical Astrology for Health Practitioners, a healer's guide, here are the planets and the actions which Saturn can actually bring into balance and how. Saturn is dark, where the sun is light, having the photons and sunlight. Saturn dries, where the moon moistens. Saturn concentrates the mind, where Mercury quickens the mind. Saturn is dry and tight, where Venus is demulcent and relaxing. Saturn is cold and slow, where Mars is hot and stimulating. Saturn is constrictive and depressed, where Jupiter is expansive and joyful. I mean, well, I guess expansive can be a bad thing if it's like too much excess weight or cholesterol or something. Saturn is grounded. Uranus is electrical. Saturn is astringent, consolidating, and earthy. Neptune is leaky, diffusive, and ethereal. Saturn disciplines feelings, where Pluto produces extreme feelings. And that is the summary of Saturn in medical astrology. Earlier on in the episode, I mentioned that the other two culprits are Mars, which tends to bring on acute conditions and inflammation, hot things, and also the South Node, where we tend to have kind of sneaky things happening, like leaking energy or other vital force out of us. So I'm going to continue with one or both of those in the next episode. And I thank you so much for listening today. I hope that enables you to be consciously curious about Saturn in your birth chart and the medical astrology that might be in play. If you want to learn more about me, you can go to my Substack, which I've just named. I didn't have a name for a long time, and it was Maria Lou's O'Rourke Substack. And I just named it Astrology, Alchemy, and Honest Recovery. So I'll put a link to that in the show notes. You can always find me at marialuz.online. I would love to have you as a new client this year. I've already been doing some readings for people looking out at least the first quarter or two, some looking out the whole year, and it's pretty darn interesting. So I hope to see you as a client soon. I wish you a great day.